So, short introduction. Who are you? Why are you? What are you doing?
So I'm Chloe, and I work actually not anymore in the peace field, but I'm still a peace activist. I work now in a civil society organization with the Bedouin community. But I work for 10 years in the peace field. We work together. I work for you at the PeaceFactory. I worked for Yala Young Leaders. I volunteered with many organizations. I took part in conferences, volunteer groups, harvesting between Israelis and Palestinians who go help Palestinians harvest their olives, protests, conventions, many things over the last 10 years. And like we said, well, the result is not exactly what we expected it to be. And so I decided in 2021, I was like doing a new degree in peace and conflict management actually, and I realized like this war that became kind of a civil war happened in Israel. And I decided that seeing what Ben Gvir said and everything, I was like, okay, maybe civil society, shared society is a more reachable goal. It's also important, so I'm going to go that way.
So you switch from peace in the Middle East to peace in Israel between
Israel.
the Israelis
yes,
first.
Something like that.
And
like
then,
it goes together, but let's start with something maybe more realistic. How
it goes so far?
As it happens, it's not less of a challenge these days. But still there.
So we've met like 10 years ago when we were working together on the PeaceFactory.
Yeah.
And when we started with the Iranians.
Right.
We were almost not talking with Palestinians. I mean, it came as a second wave, let's say. We started with Iranians, which was at that time easier.
It was complicated back then, we thought.
and the slogan of the PeaceFactory at that time was Iranian, we love you, we will never bomb your country.
I thought about this slogan a lot.
Right?
Lately, like as we were
and 10 years later, not you and me, but Israel and Iran. I mean, Iran bombed us this last year. It was
twice, I think.
Twice.
On two occasions.
300 missiles, some drones, and then in retaliation, Israel actually bombed your country.
I mean, at this point, everyone is just saying that he's retaliating against the other for who attacked him first or something like that. But yeah, so it's arguable that.
So how? I mean, okay, let's not go back 10 years, but let's start with 7th of October. I guess. How do you think peace change, or how your work or your interpretation of what's happening in Israel has changed since 7th of October? I guess that's the thing that everybody's asking. Everybody's always talking about what's happening in Israel. Most of the people who are talking about what's happening in Israel, most of them don't know anything about Israel, which is most of the time funny to hear on podcasts and stuff like that. But how do you interpret the change, the switch, if ever?
In many ways, I mean, I can talk about, of course, how it's changed things in my work, but I think it's more about, let's start with peace in general. I think, first of all, it was a big challenge, and for many of us, even in the peace field, it was a kind of, we used to work for peace without thinking that we might disappear, that really people want to still exterminate us. And I mean, I'm not sure I described this well, but there was something like this that was challenged by the massacre of October 7, that it woke up a fear, probably generational trauma, of people want and maybe can, again, try to exterminate the Jewish people. And
it was like kind of a revelation for, I guess, our generation, because the ones before us, the older people, they kind of knew it, maybe. But I think that our generation, the 40s, the 50s, and younger generation, never has that feeling of being on the breach of being exterminated. And
it challenged the never again that we grew up with. It really challenged the never again. We grew up with this never again. And then when we worked in the peace field, we were like, okay, never again shouldn't happen to anyone. Not that anything is comparable to the Shoah, but we should defend other people when their rights are not respected. And then certainly it was like, okay, there is a possible never again. And something that my sister said a few months ago, after going to the Nova, where the Nova Festival happened and when the massacre happened, is like this promise that was made to us by our grandparents, never again, and by the State of Israel, the existence of the State of Israel, is not a promise that we can make to our children today. And that was for like a difficult
how do you
revelation.
Did you felt that pressure on 7th of October, and since then did you feel like something has changed in the way of you looking at where you're living in this part of the world?
In any part of the world, because when I grew up in Europe, in France, and when you see things happening in France now, you question everything. And for me, it was like I have a daughter now, and my first thing was like, was like, poor little child. Like I brought her to this world, this wonderful world, really. And she's Jewish and she's Israeli. Like, it's not, at the beginning also we were like, you ask me what I think and how it's changing, it depends on the day. Some days I will feel like this, some days I will feel like that, depending also on what you see on the news, what you see in the world, in Europe, with our government. But this idea that it's not safe, and after October 7, yes, we had a lot of fear. Something else is going to happen. You run to the bunkers. You don't know if, there was this idea that maybe terrorists are waiting inside. So there is a rocket. You're going to the bunker. Maybe they're going to kill you in the bunker. You don't know where it's safe. And this feeling was the general feeling. Nowhere is safe. Not outside, not in Israel, right? That's how I felt immediately after October 7 and maybe in the first couple of months. That's nowhere is safe.
Yeah, the first few months were the hardest because it was happening from multiple directions at the same time. We had many rockets coming from the Gaza Strip, but also from the north, and then Iran. And then the Houthis just started somehow. We got few rockets coming from Syria.
Iraq
joined the happy train. It was really scary. It is still scary. Just to remind people, we just had yesterday a missile attack from the Houthis. We're kind of, it's depressing, but it's kind of become. I was talking with my sister a few days ago, and I asked her, how do you think people in Paris or London will react if every day a missile was sent on his way to their home? It's incredible that we're living in this. Yeah. Did you at some point wanted to leave Israel?
So we left 2 weeks after October 7 because it was like a family request. We don't know what will happen. Maybe the North will attack also, Hezbollah. So I left with my sister, my nephews, and my daughter. We were very confused. We went to France. We were helped over there by people, actually friends, but also people we didn't know that just wanted to help, not Jewish, just good heart, and seeing what they saw on the news, they were in shock and just wanted to help. And we were very confused and scared, but after that, it was like, no, it doesn't feel right. Like, we want to be home, we want to be...
At the beginning, you left like, we're leaving this crazy place, like, you don't know.
We're leaving for now. We don't know. We don't know.
Yes.
It wasn't really my decision. I really didn't want it, but at the moment that it was kind of made, like the family wants, we don't know what will happen. Yeah, like, it's better like this. I said, okay, I called my sister, let's go together, and this is what we did. And at some point, we just wanted to come back. We didn't feel safer in France. We were a bit paranoid, honestly.
What place? You were in Paris?
Normandy. And
even there?
Yes, because, you know, it's like, first of all, really, like the first months, it was all craziness. Like, you keep discovering what's going on. And immediately after the attack, like, so many things were happening. Like people didn't feel... A lot of people didn't feel mercy at all for what had happened. They didn't care. They were just like, it was a rise of anti-Semitism. Now my nephews, they don't speak French very well. And like, just hearing them, like, we're in the taxi, where are you going? We're going to Greece, and we're making games like this, you know, like, let's say all the colors in English and Spanish and Italian and French, and just to confuse the driver, like, we don't speak Hebrew. You know?
Confuse the enemy.
And maybe the guy didn't care, I don't know, but just in case. I don't care if it's just me, but with kids involved, it's something else. Yeah.
It's amazing that, I mean, at that, on that time, 2025, you have to make, I mean, you have to mask the fact that you're an Israeli when you're abroad.
That's really fucked up, if I may say.
Because of the fear of anti-Semitism. And at some point, you better get here if you really want to feel safe. It's when it started, I was in France.
Wow, right.
On the 7th of October, I was actually in France with my kids. I took them for a vacation in La Rochelle. It was like very nice, and everything just started. And Michal, on the 7th of October, Michal, my wife, she called me when it just started, and she said, because I was about to come back to Israel on the 8th, so I was on my way back to Paris to take my flight to Israel the day after, and she called immediately when it started. I don't know how she always so aware. Maybe it's also because of this kind of memory, shared memory of the Holocaust. I don't know. She's always so...
Post-trauma, generational trauma.
Exactly. And few hours
Modern
after
intuition.
It started, I think at 8 in the morning she called me, even before, she called me and she said, don't move, I'm coming. And I was like, what? I was in France, so I was totally disconnected. I was sleeping. And she called me that morning and she said, something different is happening in Israel. It's not like the usual rockets and everything. It's like bigger. They got in some kibbutz, some small communities in the south. People are talking about dead people. There was a festival. Yeah. It's bigger. It's something big, and I'm coming. And I told her, we have flying ticket. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not buying another flying ticket. I'm coming back to Israel. And she was, you're not moving. Don't move. I'm coming. And she immediately, I think at 10 in the morning, she already has a flying ticket for France. and the day was going, and the picture was getting like clearer. the massacre in the Nova Festival, the people in the kibbutzim. It was like, this day was crazy, and especially looking at it from France, like only in social media.
Sometimes the distance doesn't help at all. Like
No, it was even, I mean, I don't know.
It's not helpful to be far away. You just feel like...
It was so stressful. And I didn't want to tell the kids, but you know, they have their phone, so they immediately knew what's happening. And the first few weeks, I get the first 2 weeks we were in France. So she came immediately, and I remember so we were in La Rochelle, and 2 days after, there was already protest for Hamas in La Rochelle, which is why, where, how do you explain that? It was so surreal to see that in that small French city, people like with Palestinian flags and Hamas leaders' names, and they were like chanting. What?
That's the thing. For me, I don't mind the Palestinian flags because we have flags. I mean, I'm not a big fan of flags, but why not? It's their identity. I have more problems with the Hamas support, of course. People hiding, like calling for martyrhood while hiding behind masks. That's and also everything that happened right after October 7 is a bit like, give us a break.
So how do you think there is still kind of, I mean, we're like almost 2 years after, and obviously the situation has degraded like...
Yeah, when you say 2 years, I'm like, what?
It's fucking 2 years. 2
what
years.
What the fuck? We're still
and
in
it's
this
still
mess.
And still hostages and still
hostages. Actually, the things that really immediately put like a red alert on me was like the fact that they took hostages. Like the moment someone told me they're taking hostages, I was like, that's it. We're fucked. Something here is not gonna be solved. In the time being.
Yeah, I'll always watching on the news, and I'm trying to get connected. So I'm looking at some podcasts and everything, and always people are asking, but why isn't it ending? Why the Israelis are still in the Gaza Strip? Why? How much more killing and all these questions? And it's never. And no one asked why did Hamas didn't give back the how much they have, 50 hostages
just now. Yeah.
What country would live with 50 hostages and say, okay, you know what, forget about them? It's so.
But they don't want us to forget about them. They took them for a reason. They don't want us to forget about them. That's why they remind us, that's why they send us videos. That's why they send us videos with hostages in very bad situations to show us that they're dying out there or that they're in very bad shape and that they need, and that we need to get them out. They know exactly what they're doing. I think one of the biggest mistakes of the West, people in the West, and maybe some of them supporting the Palestinian cause, is that some of them, they're supporting Hamas while at the same time taking away every responsibility from them. Like they're the resistance and hoorah, but at the same time, it's like they're not even fighting in the Gaza Strip. We know that they're fighting. There is a fighting in the Gaza Strip. Hamas fighters. It's either they're fighting or they're hiding while their people are being killed. So choose. I think none of them are excusable. They know exactly what they're doing, and maybe we didn't realize how smart they were. They outsmarted us a bit on October 7, maybe a lot. To know exactly what happened, we will need to investigate fully the responsibility of our own government, of course, but the responsible people who knew what they were doing and they knew what will be the response So there is not taking this responsibility away from them. Sorry, very unpopular thought.
No, it's popular thought.
Depends to
It depends.
who you're talking to.
It depends who's talking with who. But yes, I guess the story I just saw this morning a protest in Paris in front of the Tour Eiffel from the Femen, this feminine woman,
Feminist activists.
Feminist activist, yeah.
Also controversial in.
Yeah, and so they were like free the Gaza Strip. They were asking Israel and Hamas to get out of Gaza, which is a nice feeling, and I'm pro finishing the war, but always no one talks about the hostages. I mean, it's like people don't understand the size of Israel. It's a very, very small country. And when in a small country you have 50 families, it started with 250 families. When you still have 50 families with kids, daughter, brothers, fathers, kidnapped everybody's talking only about that. I think that's the fact that no one understands in the West. The fact that everybody knows one of them. I mean, in my family, we related somehow to the Lifshitz family, where the grandmother and the grandfather were abducted. I mean, who's abducting 82 years old people? And the grandmother was released in the first few months, and the grandfather, Oded, was killed there. I mean, everybody knows someone. It's incredible to me to see all this talking about stop the war, but no one is talking about what is it still happening. And one of the biggest reasons, I think, in Israel for the war still happening, even people like us, like peace activists, it's because of the hostages. And it's where, I guess, Hamas is actually outsmarting us, because they want it to keep on going.
Yes, it's part. And if you look at, honestly, they're saying it themselves. Those who live, especially in other countries, of course, not in Gaza. Those who are still alive also, because some of them even were not in Gaza were killed, apparently by Israel. Martyrhood. It's like your sacrifice is not in vain. The responsibility of the civilian is not on us, it's on Israel and the United Nations. So it's very clear. I mean, when people tell you things like that, you should listen to them and believe them. And for us, the hostages, they knew that taking hostages will hurt us very badly. They know how we work psychologically, how it works for us. They knew that they will divide also the Israeli society, because I don't think that the war now continuing is about the hostages, because most of the hostages we got back, at least alive, those we could save, is during agreements. But the army itself didn't bring a lot of hostages back alive. And
yeah, but it's the war it's continuing because of the hostages, because that the Israeli government won't agree to a peace agreement to get the hostages, because for them it's like losing. So
and also because Hamas has its own conditions, which are they don't want to be dismantled. They don't want to leave the Gaza Strip, and this is one of the demands.
So we have these two entities that one wants to be the winner, obviously.
Both.
Yes, and Hamas wants to stay in power in Gaza, and both won't agree to anything, want to win, and
if I may say, I think both want the war to continue. I'm not talking about the Israeli people, and I'm not talking about the people of Gaza, the civilians, but Hamas and the government, I think at this point, want the war to continue for their own agenda. It fits their own agenda.
Obviously. If there were happen to... if we had tomorrow election in Israel, the war were stopping right now. Because Netanyahu needs that time to get to the election, he needs the Israeli not to get on his head. He is doing everything so we don't have this... you were talking before about the ועדת חקירה.
Lost in translation.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was saying, but first of all, to maintain his coalition, it's important for him.
but you were talking about getting to the bottom of the 7th of October.
Yes.
To have kind of an inquisition and to understand what's happening, and obviously...
the investigation, sorry.
Obviously, this investigation will find him somehow guilty because it happened on his watch.
Exactly.
So he doesn't want that. So what he says...
And he also said, sorry if I may say, we will have elections, we will take responsibility, but not...
After the war.
After the war.
After the war.
So his interest is to always have a
So it's
war.
the never-ending war.
Yes. It makes sense. It's logic when you... I mean, in his logic.
Obviously, he's a politician. He wants to survive. It's his only way of surviving politically. And that's why the Israelis are not taking the streets, because, I mean, most of them.
Some Israelis are still not taking the streets, yes.
It's amazing to see that his government survived the 7th of October. I mean, in every other country, the government will have collapsed in the first few hours.
Yes, this is really his specialty, to survive politically to anything. I mean, when you say give them lemon, make lemon, I don't know. You give this guy anything, I mean, at least I will give him that. He's smart and resilient.
He's always getting
He's
on
always
top
there,
somehow.
Always coming back.
Voldemort. He's like...
Sorry, we're losing, but it's...
So, okay, let's go back to peace somehow.
Let's back to peace.
Do you think we still have a chance of making peace? And if yes, I mean with the Palestinians, and if yes, what does it look like? Is it a two-state solution? What is it in your mind?
So actually, I think tomorrow they're starting in France this big convention or conference for peace where they will offer support to the two-state solution. Sometimes you wish you had more details about how you make it happen, because when you look at the details, of course, it's complicated with the demography, the geography, with everything. And
get into that, because most of the people, when
the refugees also,
when they hear the two-state solution, they're thinking about like
one side,
Belgium and Holland. I mean, two states separate, like.
So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It's a mess. If it was only Israel, it's a mess. I mean, seriously, the demography between this part of the population, this part of the population, the political ideas. So Palestinians, it's the same. First of all, I think it's very racist to say that Palestinians all, to support them as one entity, like all Palestinians think the same, or to demonize Israel like all Israelis think the same. You don't know us, it's the Middle East. You don't find two people who think the same exact thing. Now take this on the map and you have a big clusterfuck because you have the Gaza Strip that is isolated, you have Jerusalem that is separated, and it can be like this in the future or not. Of course, some Israelis don't want Jerusalem to be half Palestinian, half Israeli. You have the West Bank. You have the Arab citizens of Israel slash Palestinian citizens of Israel slash Palestinians of 1948. It depends. So there is no consensus on that.
So just on the geographic issue,
it's complicated.
If we were having like a two-state solution, the one state that is Israel, I see. Okay, it's like Haifa.
Put a map here.
We should have a map. It's like Haifa, the coast of
The coast.
Netanya, Tel Aviv, and then the south, and it's like all one piece. But the other state,
puzzle.
the second state, the Palestinian state, it's built of two parts. One is
Mostly.
the West Bank,
Yes.
you can say, and the other part is the Gaza Strip, which are not connected.
They are not connected.
They're far away.
They couldn't be, as far as, it's still a small land, but this really...
And the West Bank is also a kind of...
And you have Jerusalem.
An enclave.
Kind of in the middle.
Yes, it's between Israel and Jordan. It doesn't have access to the sea.
And people don't realize, and I think even we don't realize sometimes how close we are to the West Bank. Like, I live in Israel, and on my side, I don't know, I go like maybe less than 20 kilometers, and I'm in the West Bank. It's very thin, very, very small area. But I think that's not the biggest problem, as long as we agree to maybe not to build more settlement.
But do you see, after 7 of October, do you still see this happening?
It's more challenging now than ever.
Why?
I'm not saying now than ever because I don't want to challenge the universe.
Hold my beer.
Yes.
Did you say ever?
Make it ever more challenging, though we have 2 ministers working hard on that as we speak, trying to build, I think, 22 new Jewish settlements now in the West Bank. So, of course, it's more complicated because then you have families established there, Israeli families, and you have to, by force, remove them from their houses, which is a very complicated issue for us, even if we're against settlements. But on the same side, they shouldn't anyway remove Palestinian families from their homes, their villages. And this is also what's happening. And this is the truth. This is not like an opinion biased or whatever. This is just what's happening. You can be against or you can be supporting of that, but this is happening. So it's making things more complicated. And I don't know, I don't pretend to have all the solutions. I think a lot of goodwill could help.
Who's the peace camp in Israel and who's the peace camp, as you know it, in Palestine?
So peace camp in Israel, I will say peace camps because we have a few, and again, not everyone agrees with everyone. But at this point, I think we cannot afford to be purists of peace and because we don't agree on this and that, so let's not work together. No, we have to work together. Otherwise, we'll never get anything done. On the Palestinian side, it's way more complicated because they cannot... it's already complicated enough in Israel to say you're a peace activist, but you will not be sent to jail, at least for now, because you say that, or not for too long. On the Palestinian side, they're more at risk of retaliation when they say that, even if they are.
When they go against the mainstream.
Yes, if you ask people to people, you build trust with them. You do the job that we did, like for example when I worked for Yala Young Leaders or what we did at the PeaceFactory, talking to people, and you ask them what they want individually. They will tell you, yes, I want to live in peace. And actually, what you hear about Israel, not being Israel and leaving all this country, this small piece of land to Palestinians, it doesn't come more from Palestinians as much as it comes from people in the United States or Europe. This is not something you hear so much from Palestinians. Palestinians, many of them, many peace activists, they're okay now, at least now, to live with Israelis.
So one-state solution.
So there is also the idea of one-state solution, like 2 federal states and 1 big joint country that is both for Palestinians and Israelis. They can live there or there. They each have to respond or vote to their own federal states or something like this. There are a few things
models.
to look at. Models, yes, exactly. Frames to this project, but that's also an idea. At some point, I just want to say that I don't care which one is it, whatever works. I've been supportive of the two-state solution, of course, but at this point, whatever works, I wish we could live together. If we have to live separately to stay alive on both sides, in peace, security, dignity, with a good way of life, if the solution is to do it separately, let's do it separately. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, in my point of view, it's like the last 2 years, peace, even the word peace has become kind of a curse word, like something
taboo.
Nobody's talking about. Maybe people talk about the stop of the war, but not peace. It's not going to be peace. It's going to be, it's like 7th of October got us back like 15 years back.
At least, yeah.
It's like no one...
But with TikTok.
with
Incitement on TikTok and fake news.
With social media, it's like... When I first posted the call on the page of the PeaceFactory to find some people to talk about, how do you feel about it? 10 years ago, when I was posting this kind of calling, people were answering, people from all over the Middle East. I would have many response from Iranian, obviously, but also from people from our neighbors in the Gaza Strip and some from the West Bank. And we were having this talk over the social media. Exactly. It wasn't that easy, but it was happening. Now it's like no one even answering. No one like from the other side, from the side which we are in conflict with. And it's like nobody's ready to even have that talk.
Peace is not the mainstream word now. Like people going to protest everywhere in the world, basically they're not really asking for peace.
And that's what makes me so sad. I mean, about the world getting involved. When you see all these protests, especially in Europe, but some on campuses in the United States, Canada. I mean, these people, they're not helping. They're just shouting out loud. They're becoming part of a problem. They're making more issues. They're not. I never see someone say, let's sit together, have a talk. I never see someone with a Palestinian and Israeli flag say, let's have peace, let's talk, let's de-escalate.
That's true.
It's always, you fucking Israeli, you fucking... It's that side or the other side.
Exactly.
I was watching, the other day, I was watching a podcast on the Joe Rogan. I don't know if you saw it. It was very interesting.
I hear about him a lot. I just don't really.
He's good. He was having two guests. One is Murray, which is a British journalist, which has come many times in Israel and is very pro-Israeli. He's all about Israel and he came to Israel many times. He went in the south and everything. And on the other side, there was another guy, a Jew, I guess. I don't remember his name. Also, I don't know. And they were having this back and forth. And one was totally against, and the other one, Mary, was totally like cool head with Netanyahu. And it was, neither of them was right. I mean, they were both making good points. Murray was having the better point because at least he was here in Israel, so he knows what he was talking about. The other one was just like making
noise,
weirds, like it was all over the place. But he was so against Israel. He was like so much like, dude, what are you talking about? You don't know nothing about nothing. But the sad thing was they were both wrong because neither of them know. I mean, really, I ask myself, why this Joe Rogan, he has like the biggest microphone in the whole universe. Why are you not asking a Palestinian from Palestine, like have a guy from Ramallah, come to your fucking podcast and have a guy from Tel Aviv.
And this is something that has been lacking from...
I'm asking him to take you to his podcast and having a real conversation between the two people, not someone who has... And it's always the same. It's always people talking about things they have... They don't know. They don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. Right?
And they're making thing. It's like this Greta.
So that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. First of all, two narratives are better than one, for sure, but it's still not enough. It doesn't give the full picture, and the more people you invite, and the more stories you will have, and the more you will deconstruct those narratives that are so like white, black. And that's the thing with Greta. I mean, I'm sure she means well.
Greta
Thunberg? No, yes.
Yes.
That's the one. But all of this...
I'm not sure she means well.
No, I'm not sure anymore. After she doubled down on being kidnapped, I have a problem with this. And also, like, you want to give visibility also, but like this is basically the most mediatic conflict in the world. Like, this is not the conflict that need more visibility. If you give visibility, give it to the Palestinians and the Israelis, the activists that are on the ground that have been working. No one is giving them this visibility. You never see on
the news Palestinian, I mean, from the streets talking about.
We held a conference in Jerusalem last month, just a month ago.
Who's we?
Thousands of people coming for peace in Jerusalem. Many peace organizations.
Okay.
Of course, it was more challenging to bring Palestinians because if they're not from Jerusalem or don't have an Israeli citizenship, they cannot enter and they will not get a permit right now. But it brought a few thousands of people, like 5,000, something like this. Diplomats were there. And I didn't see so much, where was it in the media? Where was this on channels in France, in the United States? Like, who talked about that? No one. No one gave visibility to that. It's not selling. It's not what interests people. It's not... And that's very sad, and that doesn't help us. And when you have actually Palestinian activists who are taking the risk to talk, and sometimes they go to those universities also on campus, and they say, hey, look here, when you have a few attacks in the world against Jewish people, or in the United States, like it happened lately, something is wrong. This is not what we're asking for. We're not asking you to be violent, just like this, with people protesting for hostages, or just because they're in front of the museum. And to kill them, listen to us, and they're not listened to, and no one is giving them visibility. And that is a real problem, yes. And this is what those people who are famous now, who have a lot of followers, should be doing. I have more respect for...
they're doing the exact opposite. The one with the big following on social media have taken a side. It's either I'm pro-Israeli or pro-Palestinian, and I'm going with that narrative. Israel is making a genocide. It's a genocide. I'm hearing the word genocide so many times. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you even understand? And on the other side, you have people arguing for Israel who are completely disconnected of what's happening in Israeli government. I hate Netanyahu, but I know why. I know why I hate him, and I'm not hating him because of genocide. It's not that. People don't understand the Israeli politics, and obviously don't understand nothing about Palestinian politics. No. And nobody, it's like nobody's helping. It's like it's like a sport. Sometimes I feel it's like a sport. You choose a side, you have your team.
Yes, and no matter
I'm
what.
Team Palestine, I'm Team Israel. I have the flag, I have the T-shirt, I'm going on the street, I'm breaking shit. Free Palestine. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and it's really like this because yes, even in Israel, like it's like disconnected. Like it's either you question our right to exist, and then of course it's pushing us back together to communitarism and stuff, or pushing their, or it's like you're questioning their right to exist. While peace activists have been saying they have the right to exist here, we have the right to exist here, we can live together or separately, whatever, but in peace. And value that. Like the work we've been doing for 20 months is a very hard work. And sometimes you're going to have someone who's going to put make a little video, an article. But even that, like I saw a short video on Arte a few days ago.
Arte.
Yes. And they're talking about how lonely are peace activists. First of all, we're not here to complain. How lonely we are, even if we are, that's not...
I am lonely.
But, and it was well done, you know. Oh, finally. I mean, it's Arte. It's not like... not millions of people are watching this. But at least it was there. But at the end, they had to add something that wasn't even accurate about... like how many... the percentage of Israelis who support the war in Gaza, and in a way that is like, yes, we all support the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, which is not exactly right if you see the, how do you say, sondage?
The polls.
Polls, thanks. Anyway, so they had to finish on this note. You know, like, why? Can you also just like highlight the work? You don't have to highlight my work. The work that Israelis and Palestinians are doing. That's it.
Yeah, so few are even...
Show that that's what people want, but this is not what they want. So
when I'm talking with people, I think since 7th of October, it's like nobody's talking about peace. Nobody's talking about the two-state solution. I mean, and that's why I guess... our generation is so depressed. No, I mean, we are depressed. First of all, we are depressed. Not just because of the war still going on and having kids and raising kids in this craziness, but the fact that in the 80s, 90s, when Oslo Accord, Rabin, all this stuff, we were having that dream of peace is possible. We can reach it. And we're from this generation, and we in particular, because we work, I mean, we tried. Yes, we did our best, but we tried, and we were having that dream of like the end of conflict, the end of, I don't want even to say peace because I don't know exactly what it means, but maybe having the dream of, you know, visiting Tehran, like having a train, having a train going from Tel Aviv to Syria, to Lebanon. I mean, like Europe. I was really thinking it can happen. And since 7th of October, it's like, it's never gonna happen. Not in my lifetime. I mean, that dream has died. And that's why, I guess, I'm sometimes so depressed because
it's another grief, another layer of grief.
It's a feeling that the bad guys have wins on both sides, like the Ben Gvirim, the Smotrichim, and I'm not comparing them to Hamas. I'm not, because Hamas is like they're fucking crazy, but the camp of bad has win on both sides, and now it's like they're doing their shit.
They're doing their shit. We have absolutely no credibility when we talk, and of course, anyone who can say something about peace anyway will be sent back to, on one side. But what about October 7? If it's in itself the proof that it's not possible, also because a lot of peace activists were on the border and were killed on that day, or kidnapped and killed. And but look at what's happening in Gaza, and how do we rebuild from that?
I don't. You know,
if it's possible. But I don't know. I'm going to be maybe emotional, but I had a friend in Gaza who I met before, him and his family, and we had this also like we used to have with the PeaceFactory, you know, like we're on Zoom. At the time of the PeaceFactory, we had Viber and Skype. Since then, we had Zoom. Skype. And we were on Zoom, and it was always like they put the camera and we see their whole salon in Gaza, their whole living room, and their family, and him and his wife were involved in our programs. And even after October 7, of course, they were like worried about us. We were worried about them. And then the living room was destroyed, and he was killed also in Gaza. And it's like you can look at it and say, here they're killing peace activists, and there is no one left who still want peace after that to rebuild, just trauma and fear and distrust. But this is also not how he lived, and even during the war he was calling for peace and for the release of the hostages, and encouraging people to reach out to each other. And I don't know, I'm trying to also live... this is his legacy. His legacy cannot be just give up and be depressed. He wasn't depressed until the end. I don't know. I'm trying to get out of it something.
Yes, it's hard to get optimistic about, to get uplifted by. I mean, you need to find some kind of...
Let's find concrete ground and work on it together. The future of this region is together. This is what he will say. Yeah.
Is it?
That's what he would say, and that's when I'm depressed, sometimes I'm like nothing is gonna work. I'm trying to, find in the memory of him, in some people who say things after their trauma.
I think the
Talmud also, when they say it's not all on your shoulders to fix the world. The Tikkun Olam is not on your shoulders alone. You have to do your part. It's not an excuse to not do anything, but it doesn't mean that you have to do everything. Just do your part, do good now. And
I think the trauma is so intense, especially, on the Israeli side, but the Palestinian side, the people living in the Gaza Strip, I don't see them, want to meet Israeli at any time soon.
I'm not sure they want to meet Israelis, but I cannot also...
it's like their life is like hell.
Their life is like hell.
How do you make peace with that?
Well, maybe before that, we have to stop the war.
Obviously. But
bring the hostages back. And from that, make sure they have enough food in normal conditions. And then it's like we're not like other countries, but we can take example a bit of countries who used to be in very hard conflict and who thought that they will never recover from that. Like Northern Ireland, for example. We can learn from that.
It wasn't like
process.
That ever.
No, it wasn't like that.
It wasn't like this kind of bombing and like madness.
But that's it. We have our own history, our own conflict, our own religious, non-religious, right wings, left wings, a lot of things in the middle. Just on the Israeli side. On the Palestinian side, again, it's like people have different thoughts and political opinions. But I think it will be a good start. That's, yeah.
To even stop this.
To stop this.
Do you think...
Start by stopping. I don't know what it means about our government. I don't know what it means about Hamas still being in power or not. I for sure don't want Hamas to be in power. I for sure would like to have a new and better government.
It's like both are going to stay.
It feels like they're forever.
It feels like Netanyahu is here forever. It
are they cloning
Hamas
themselves?
Are not leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, this is depressing. All right, but
when I was at the funeral of Oded Lifshitz,
he was a peace activist as well.
He dedicated the last years of his life, like the last 20 years of his life, because he was living in a kibbutz near Oz, which is very close to the Gaza Strip. It's on the border of the Gaza Strip, and so he was part of a peace organization that were helping kids.
The road to recovery.
Yeah, to get surgery in Israel. So because the hospital in the Gaza Strip are not appropriate for any kind, so for all surgery, when kids needed to have special surgery, he would help to having them drive by in Ichilov and in Israel back and forth. So he was organized that. And at the funeral, his wife says, "We've been stabbed in the back." She said it. She was so sad. She was like, "We helped those people and they come to kill us, and they actually killed you. And I don't know what to think about it." She was like, she didn't try to, to make it nice. She said it like it was, like everybody was feeling, like you give the best years of your life to help people. And I'm not saying it's the same people, but
that's
some of the
thing.
I mean, the conflict reached you and killed you. At the end, they didn't give you back. They knew who you were. They knew he was a dead Lifshitz. I mean, they know each and every one of the hostages who they are. They could have said, "You know what? Because you help us so much, we will give you back."
But that's actually an important point, that in Israeli society, a lot of people are in this, I don't know how many, I didn't do a poll about that, but there is this idea that Palestinians in Gaza, they knew about October 7 before and didn't warn Israelis, even though there were a lot of peace activists living on the border in the kibbutz. And that therefore, some say there are no innocents, and so on. But I don't think they knew. I mean, maybe some of them knew. And yes, we saw pictures on October 7, Hamas and jihadists and even civilians from Gaza coming back with hostages, Israeli hostages, or Thai hostages, or other hostages from other nationalities, and being applauded and welcomed like this by people in Gaza. But we have no idea what was. We don't know exactly what they told them, and so on. So, but of course, I'm not judging someone who was kidnapped, who had her husband kidnapped and killed in Gaza. She has her opinion, and she has the right to have this opinion, and it's also, I mean, it explains a lot of what the Israelis think. Israelis think, right? Like why they think that way. This is how they understand it, right?
Yeah, many Israelis think that there is no
partner
on the other side. Some of them were thinking that way before. There was the discussion we were having with who's in Israel represent now. Like, is there still a left, a peace side? Who's on the political spectrum of the Israeli politics represents
Arab parties, Yair Golan, whoever is still on the left, Naama Lazimi, איך קוראים לו? עודד, I don't know, his name is always forget his name. Plus many peace activists. You have Standing Together, that is, of course, this is maybe the peace organization that we see the most. Standing together, עומדים ביחד.
Yes.
And then you have many small organizations. Yala Young Leaders is still on, though it's more complicated now. You have many of them. You have Nashim Osot Shalom, Women Make Peace. They're still
waging peace. Yes.
Waging peace. You have a lot of organizations. You have organizations that are more like educative organizations, like they work with children, they work in schools. There is also this law that they want to pass the taxation law, that they will tax NGOs 80% of what they got from foreign entities, because in many NGOs we get fundings from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of this country or this country or this country to finance our projects. So of course that will be a big blow, another one, to our
Yeah, this government is doing
activities.
everything in its power to like you're not gonna. It's like totally against it.
Yeah, and
It's not-
internationally as well.
Yeah.
Because, for example, when Macron, I don't know, they're more on Macron than other countries, he's not the only one, but he's saying we will recognize the state of Palestine. And they're like, okay, so we will annex the West Bank in reprisal, like it's in retaliation to this decision.
But what is
While they decided already to to annex this part of the West Bank before.
what's that even mean? Recognize the state of Palestine? I mean, where is it? What is it?
We'll see
Who-
at the
who's
conference in the next 2 or 3 days. But
Let's say recognize. Okay, what are you recognizing?
I don't know. I don't know the small conditions in the territory, politics.
It's a very strange thing
I'm
to
not
say.
sure.
Who's on the other side?
I think it's
Who's
under the
power-
Palestinian Authority, and one of the conditions is
But the Palestinian Authority is already.
Yeah.
I mean,
They want to they say that they don't want Hamas also in this state, but is it for them to decide? I don't know. It's one of the topics of the peace conference this week. Yeah, a lot of complicated topics.
very nice talk about peace. Very, very nice. Very uplifting. Thank you so much.
Top of the iceberg. Still,
It's very. I'm so depressed now.
no, we can do it. We can do it. They're counting on us to be depressed and tired, and to give up. Don't do that.
Maybe for the next episode, we try to bring like real example of peace project that happening right now. So, I mean, we'll talk only about positive things if we
Yalla.
can.
Yalla. Goodnews.com, something, give us hope.
It's hard. I'm not lying. I was thinking about having this conversation about. I wanted to do something about what's happened. It's so hard even to address the issue. You don't know what to say. Sometimes you see what's happening, and it's like it's freezing you. You
Yeah.
don't know what to say. You don't know.
It's freezing you, and it's true that we have partners, former partners of for peace, who turn their back on us also. Some of them I can understand and give them sometimes. They've been through a lot. Some of them, I don't know, it's they turn their back on us, and it's difficult also. It's many layers on this. We have to grieve the people that we lost. We have to grieve the situation. We have to grieve the people who turned their back on us. We
And
have
it's
to-
still ongoing.
The peace that we believed in, like you said, and didn't. Yeah.
Yesterday,
didn't
I was cleaning the staircase in my building on a totally different
a
subject.
story that starts like that.
Yesterday,
Suddenly.
so because the cleaner, the guy who is cleaning, is not making his job very good, and I'm a free control. So I took my broom and I cleaned the and in the second floor, I put some mattress because we have this window with lot of glass in the staircase, and so I put some when the war started, I put some mattress in front of the glasses, so if there is a shock, an explosion close to us, we don't get the glasses. And yesterday when I was like cleaning, I told myself, I should take this down. And then I remember, no, you shouldn't. It's still ongoing. And like an hour after, we were running in the same staircase to get shelter because the Houthis. Yeah. What's with the Houthis? Ooh, why?
So you see, this is when.
On a positive finish. Tell me about the
Oh, I cannot say
Houthis.
something positive about that. What's happening there is terrible, and no one is talking about this. Just that they're throwing missiles at us. I don't know what happened to the United Nations representative that they kidnapped a few months ago. Were they released? Were they not? We don't know. What's happening to the 17 million people starving over there? I don't know. But they're smart in that way that they send one missile a day and manage to make 1 million people running to the shelters and
Every
close the
day?
airport. Basically, it's almost every day, no?
It's any other day. It's every
sometimes
other day.
It's 3-4 days in a row, and then
And then they take a small vacation. The guy that's
The recharge
that pushing the button is like, this weekend I'm going back to my family.
or maybe they switch him.
Okay. If you guys have, if you got to this point, if you enjoyed it, if you have any question, if you want to take part, leave us a comment, message. If we say some stuff that you don't understand, and maybe we can make it clearer on the next episode. Anything goes. We're trying our best.
If you're interested in peace, if you want just to send us, be strong. Yeah, that's always nice.
Peace.